All right, everybody, another installment of Dave's Garage. I told you there's going to be a lot of content around this bike. So here is what we are doing. We're going to reflash a new map because I talked to my tuner, got an appointment coming up in 2 weeks. We're going to throw it on the dyno. He is intimately familiar with Tuneecu, tunes on Tuneecu all the time. Used to be the shop manager for the local Triumph dealer, tunes a lot of Triumphs. He's the guy you want for this job. So his name's Charles at HFD1 Motorsports. Give him a free plug. He's not giving me any discounts or anything, but he's a really solid dude and does some good work. So, what are we doing? Well, in talking to him today, discovered something. So, I've got my fuel tables in here. He's going to do a complete remap of the fuel to get it dialed in. I am curious. He's going to start with my map, dyno it, and then see how close I was able to get it as an experiment while he tunes it. But we have made a radical change to the ignition tables. I told him what the values were in there, and he was like, I can't believe they are holding that bike back that much. So the stock tables were like down in like barely even hitting 30 degrees. Down here they were in the 20s. He was like, dude, that needs to be up around 36 to 38. Don't go above 38 till we get it on the dyno. So I went in and I just shot in the middle of the recommendation and just went for 37 as the top. So if you go and you load up a stock map for 31127, actually I can do a compare real quick. If I even have that base map. All right, I don't have that base map here on the tablet. It's up on the computer. In any case, you can open it up. It's way different. I mean, we've added anywhere from 2000 on up, anywhere between 5 and 12 degrees of ignition, depending on where it is in here. From 71% from the fourth column over. So this whole block where you're really, you're on the gas, you're in your performance mode, you're not just kind of putzing around cruising. It is really, really different up there. So I'm expecting significant gains just from that. If they were retarding the timing by 10, 12 degrees in some areas, there's got to be performance sitting there. So we're going to flash that. Not going to make you watch 18 minutes of me doing this. So let's just go ahead and ECU, reprogram. Yes. I pulled the fuse for the headlight, and then I've also got it on a battery tender. So we'll keep the battery topped off. But yeah, so that's what we've got. We're going to go ahead and do this flash. Then we're going to pull the tank up, and I'll come back and we'll go over the other mods. I'm going to remove the O2 sensors. I've got some O2 bungs that I bought off Amazon a couple weeks ago. Stainless steel or titanium. I think it's stainless steel. So we're going to go ahead and remove those. The plugs for them are up here, so we're going to have to take off this bolt here and put a blanket over there and slide the tank off and back to get at the plugs that are kind of nestled they're right about here, straight back and right about that high. You can't quite reach them from here. Now, some people do just cut those. I'm not going to do that just in case for whatever reason I needed to return the bike to stock for some reason. I'm going to keep those, and then I can dump the base map, the original map back in and turn them back on. The SAI, technically you don't have to do anything. Once it's deleted, it doesn't do any, the solenoid's going to always be closed. If you really want to block it, there's a hose up here, which I'll get to when the tank comes off. When you pull off these panels, you'll see a hose that goes into the airbox, and that rubber hose goes through a solenoid and then up to somewhere up in here, where the exhaust ports are. And that injects air. It's just an emissions thing. It won't change how it runs. It just gets rid of some of the popping on D-cell and stuff. So I may just disable that in the software. But if you do disable the O2 sensors, it is important that you do remove the sensors and physically unplug them. Now, you could just leave them in the ports just to block it off so it looks stock and just unplug them. I'm just going to take them out because my tuner's going to want to take them out because his sensors are going to want to plug into that when he's got it on the dyno. He's going to do it for each cylinder. So we'll come back and we'll show you where those plugs are and how to get them undone. I'm going to leave SAI. I'm not going to do my marble trick for now. I don't mind a little popping on D-cell. So unless he says, no, you have to block it for the tune, I'm just going to leave those for now. But we'll be back shortly. All right, we're back, and we're about to disconnect the O2 sensors. Had a successful flash. No mishaps like I had yesterday, despite Alex ignoring my request to not text me. Just busting your balls, Alex. Yeah, that's another thing to keep in mind. I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but like literally a group of my friends were yapping back and forth incessantly. It was like 50-something texts in a short period of time. And it was during that time that my tablet is going ga-ging, ga-ging, da-ding, da-ding, while it's trying to flash the ECU, that the ECU flash bombed. I can't quite blame it on Cameron, but I'm going to blame it on Cameron. So, yeah, anyway, so got it flashed to this new map. So I talked to my tuner. We made some aggressive fuel map, ignition advances. Now, while that was flashing, I went to grab my O2 sensor bungs that I purchased for this purpose. Well, like a dick, I lost them. In my zeal to kind of clean up the, frankly, admittedly, train wreck that was Dave's garage prior to the revamp here, getting ready to start, doing more bike maintenance content and stuff like that, I went and said, hey, let me clean up my garage. Let me organize things so everything's easy to find. And then in the process, I lost the two things that I know at some point I probably was cleaning up the garage and said, you know what? I'm going to set these aside because I'm going to use these on a near project night. I've gone through every drawer, every cubby, every box, every drawer, every little cubby over there. I've gone through everything. I don't know where they are. They're $8.99 a piece on Amazon. I'm just going to order another set. In the meantime, before I fire this thing up, which we'll do on camera, I need to unplug the O2 sensors. So what happens is when you flash the ECU and you uncheck the box for SAI and the O2 sensors, you're disabling the solenoid, and I may just put the marble in there just for tuning purposes. You're not disabling the O2 sensors. So this is something you need to understand. You're not actually disabling the O2 sensors. If you just check the box and you leave them plugged in, if the ECU sees them, it will still try to use them. All it's really doing, it's not disabling O2, it's disabling the error code that the ECU is going to want to throw when you unplug it and remove it. Okay? So then it doesn't go into limp home mode, it doesn't throw a code, it doesn't give an error on the dash that you got to then go in and clear, none of that. So don't think that just checking the box in Tuneecu is going to get rid of it. What you got to do is actually come in and unplug that. So it's easy. Pull the tank. There's a bolt. There's that long bolt. Slide the tank back. Put a roll of tape or something up under there to hold it up and out of the way. Make sure it doesn't fall off. That would be bad. And then follow the wires, and they go up to this square plug right there. Now that plug, it's kind of tight in there. So what you're going to want to do, I don't know if you can see it, but there is a little plastic tab right there. Push that with a screwdriver and then tug on the wires. So I need both hands to do this. So bear with me a moment. Try and angle this up. Let's see. See if I can angle it up enough that it'll catch some of it, but you're not going to see the detail. But you saw where it was. This is not rocket science, okay? This is a fairly easy thing. So keep some tension on the wire. Pull that. You hear that pop? There's the wire. Now, it was held in by this. I'd already removed that. Because I don't have the O2 block-offs, you don't want to leave this just flopping around because you don't want the wire to hit that. I'm going to just zip tie this out of the way right up here. So I'm going to remove this plastic little thing here that holds that wire in place. We're going to clip that off with a pair of wire cutters. And I'm going to tie that up out of the way. The reason for that is I don't want any part of that wire to touch anything here. I can't just unplug it out of the pipe because I'm going to have a hole in there. I got to get the new block-off plugs. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zip tie that out of the way for now. The tank will largely cover that up. Keep it out of the way. You can kind of tuck it in behind there or something like that. Keep it out of the way. Probably need to zip tie that as well. Just want to move the frame. Yeah, we're going to zip tie that as well. So yeah, so that's what you're going to do. Keep it up out of the way, so that when you do want to remove this, you can have the tank down. You don't have to remove the tank again. You're just going to come in here and unscrew that, pull it out, put your bung in, cut your zip tie, and take the thing, throw it in a drawer. So we do that on this side. And let's go see what the other side looks like. Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. All right, again, you grab your wire, and you see this black plug. Hopefully the lighting is good. There's a plug right there. Again, has that plastic tab. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull a little pressure on this, and then I'm going to push that tab, and it should go bunk and pop right out. Let's see if it does. A little bit of pressure. A little pressure on that tab. Come on. Come on, you bitch. Get out of there. There it goes. Pops out, wiggle it around, feed it down. Now it is very tight spacing in there. So you may have to move, kind of push some stuffs out of the way. I mean, I could just cut these cords and leave the damn thing there, but I don't like doing anything that's not reversible before I get it tuned. So there's another plug right here. I'm gonna pop that up and out of the way. That should give me just enough room, because there's the line for the brakes is right there. Damn it. Let's see if I can rotate it, if that'll come out. And the brake line, it's a hard line. It's a steel line. All right, let's see if we can move this up over here. Yes, that's how you do it. This plug slides into this little channel. Move that up out of the way, pull the plug up here, pull the wire down here, and then pull it through there. And then take this and wiggle that shit back in there. He's gonna have to, it's hard to do this again with one hand, so bear with me. Hold on, let me put this down. There you go. She takes 2 fingers, guys. Sometimes it's a 1-finger girl. This one's a 2-finger girl. Took 2 fingers, get that back in. And then this again, gonna zip tie it, gonna remove this clip. Don't need that anymore. And I'm just gonna zip tie this out of the way, zip tie it to the frame. And that way the wire is not touching anything where you gotta worry about melting. The tank will go back on. This will be covered up. You won't really see it. But once I get the bungs, then I can loosen that, pull it out, uncut the zip tie, and there you go. So let me put this back all, let me do the zip tying and all that stuff, and then we'll come back and let me see if I can get to the SAI hose. All right, so here we are. They're still intact. The ends are loose, but they're just zip tied out of the way so they can't make contact with anything and melt. They won't be flopping around in the breeze. But they are now disabled in the software. They are now physically unplugged, so even though they're still in there, they can't give any readings to the ECU. So when I come back, as soon as I find my damn or buy new bung plugs, you're just gonna unscrew that, pull it out, cut that zip tie, toss it in the trash or toss it in your toolbox, and then just screw in and tighten up the bungs. That's it. So that's now done. The next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna put the tank back forward and then prop the back up and see if I can get to the hose, figure out which hose is the SAI hose, and we'll come back and we'll do the marble trick. So give me a minute to button this back up. All right, the SAI delete's easier than I thought. So push the tank back in. You'll notice there's like these big rubber bushings that go into these grooves that kind of keep the front aligned. So put the tank back into that and then prop up the back. I'm using a roll of Gorilla Tape, which is made with 100% real Gorilla, so you know it's good, you know it's strong. So that'll hold that up. This is your pair valve. Okay, this is what opens and closes whenever the ECU tells it, so that it has air coming in from this thick hose from the air box, and then it goes into the exhaust manifolds here in the heads. Adds extra air to the emissions, to the exhaust rather, to clean it up and make it look like it helps with the catalytic converter and makes it, appear cleaner to emission standards. So what we're going to do is, this is held on by a little clip. We're going to pinch that and remove the hose. Just pull the hose off. I'm going to take a marble, whatever color. I got a whole bag of these at like the dollar store years ago for like $1. So you're going to take the hose off. We're going to grease it up with a little bit of, what do we got? Waterproof grease. That'll help it slide in better. Can't go anywhere because the marble's too big to go down the hose. It's not like it's going to roll down. Friction's going to hold it in place. So, and it's good friction, so you have to put a little grease on there to get it in. And then when we put this back on, it's bigger than the piece of the valve, so it can't go into the valve. It's just going to sit there in the hose. And that is going to effectively 100% block any air. Even though this is disabled in software, there's no chance of any air going and making into the exhaust. Why is this important? Well, it gets rid of the popping and crackling on diesel. That's what's happening oftentimes. You have unburnt fuel in the exhaust, whether it's too rich or potentially too lean. Everyone thinks it's too rich. Sometimes if the fuel mixture is too lean, you don't get complete burn. And you can actually have popping and crackling from a lean condition, not just from a rich condition. But either way, it stops that. At least it reduces it greatly by not giving it the oxygen that it needs to burn in there. But also when we're going to get this tuned, he's testing for air-fuel ratio, testing for, CO2 to O2 and all that to help determine is it at stoichiometric, all that kind of stuff. And if we want to know what the motor's doing, and if we're adding oxygen into the mix after the combustion process, this doesn't go into the motor here on the intake side, it goes into the exhaust port, then it throws the readings off and it makes the readings look leaner than it is. So anyway, that's why we're doing this, because this is going on the dyno soon. So I'll see if I can angle this. Hopefully you'll be able to see it there. But we're going to pop this off, which is simple. Just pinch that with a pair of pliers. Slide it down, and then we're going to gently twist that a little bit, and there we go. That is now popped off. And so we're going to take a little bit of grease, I'm going to lube that bad boy up before we stick it in. It's very important, fellas. Alright, I'm going to wipe the grease off my hands so I don't get that shit everywhere. And all you got to do now is just push that down into the hose and then reconnect the hose. Now it's only going to go up so far because the marble hasn't gone down as far as I want, because we've got that clip still on there. So we're going to push that up, rotate, get a hold of that clip, and try to pinch those tabs. This is not a hard job. It's just it can get a little finicky because you just don't have a lot of room in there, so you got to rotate this a little bit. Damn it. All right, so once you get it up over that hump of the marble, we should be able to put that on. Honestly, this is the hardest part. It's just fucking with this stupid clip. All right, we are now past that. So now you can actually take your pliers and kind of squeeze the marble a little further down in the hose. Just gradually push it like that. Let's push that on. Let's get our clip in place. All right, clip's back in. That's fully seated. That little bulge right there, that's your marble. No air's getting past that. If you want to squeeze that up to the front, you can, but that ain't going anywhere. At this point, we'll take out a Gorilla Tape, put the bolt back in, put it all up, and then we're going to fire it up and see how well or not well it runs. So, be right back. All right, now the moment of truth. Got my fire extinguisher ready, fire blanket. Let's see what happens when we start this shit up. I'm hoping it doesn't idle wonky without the O2 sensors. Now I did reset the adaptives. The thing is now it doesn't have any way to adapt. That's why sometimes I don't like removing the O2 sensors till it's on the dyno. So I'm seeing smoke. That must have been from me touching the damn headers. Must have had some grease on my hands. Alright, it's burned off. I saw smoke, I was like, oh no. What have I done? Yeah, clearly I touched it. Whatever, I'll steel wool it and clean it later. Well, it is idling okay. It's not idling lumpy or weird. Other than a little bit of smoke, I must have touched it, tucking the wires, had some grease on my hand. said removing the O2 sensors helped. I was like, just based on the fuel trims I saw it adding. I was like, if it's adding fuel instead of subtracting, that means it's probably lean. But I think it's just lean and idle. But it's not doing anything weird. In fact, if you'll notice, remember before, when you flip the throttle, it would hang for like 3-4 seconds before coming down. It's dropping right back to idle. I did reset adaptives. Interesting. Yeah, so this is going on the dyno. Charles at H51 is going to tune in, and we're going to see what's up. Me and Lane have been monkeying around, going back and forth with maps and things, using our butt dyno and just riding it, logging how we feel, what we feel, and adjusting as needed. So it's going to be interesting to see if my tuner's like, you guys are way off. Like, it runs okay, it's not dangerous or anything, but you know, you're completely too rich or too lean in this area. If anything, I would say we're too rich in some areas, not too lean. Lean would give you surging and weird stuff when you're riding, you'd feel it. Rich, maybe not. Sounds good. I'm sure I like it much more than the neighbors do. But instant throttle. A little popping and crackling, not much. Alright, probably won't be able to ride it until tomorrow. My lunch break here is almost over, so get back to work and see how it runs tomorrow. Today's going to rain. By the time I get done today, it'll be raining out, so. I noticed the idle's a little, but yeah, as the engine gets up to temperature, now the idle's lowering, so I'm noticing it being a little more lumpy, but it is a parallel twin. It's not an inline 4 like it, so it's not smooth like a sewing machine. But that's just instant bark. Alright, well, until I get out on the road, we won't know for sure, but so far, I didn't change any of the fueling for this map. This is the same map that we did a review of yesterday. All that's changed is I added a bunch of ignition advance based on my tuner's recommendations, going over the tables with me. 5 to 12 degrees from 70% up to 100% throttle from 2000 on up. Now, we didn't add 12% down low. We blended it in, but by the time you get up to the mid-range and up top, there's a lot of ignition advance that was not there before. On old bikes, I typically would only give it like 3 or 4 degrees of advance. But honestly, he said, look, conservatively, you could do 36 to 38. He's like, you may, when we get on the dyno, you may go as high as 40. He's like, I usually don't go over 40 unless it's a race bike. But he's like, if you're up in 37, 38 range, 39 even, he's like, you'll be fine all day long. I just went to 37, just being a little conservative. But where I was putting 37s and 35s and 36s in those tables, they were down in like 24 range. He's like, that is incredibly lazy timing. So I'm going to be curious when I get this out on the road. I'm thinking even with the same tune. Now with the ignition, that might also change the tune, you know, because the way I'm thinking in my head, at least, tell me if I'm wrong, is the ignition advances when the spark hits. And so if it's spraying fuel and maybe it may be not done spraying fuel if you advance it enough. I don't know. We'll have to see. I know a lot about this stuff, but I'm not, you know, if I'm on the dyno, I know enough to tune the bike. I've sat and talked with enough tuners and watched them do it and even helped out a few times. But I won't profess to be a full-out tuner myself. I know enough to get the bike in an okay, safe area where you're probably not going to blow it up, right? So there we go. Seems to run fine. We'll get it on the road tomorrow, or if the rain holds off, maybe after work I'll get it out for 10 minutes just to go rip on it a few times. But that's it. As soon as I find my damn O2 bungs, I unscrew that, and there's my wire. Just hanging right there. Snip it, pull it out. Same on the other side. So I don't have to remove the tank. I don't have to do anything. Everything's just zip tied out of the way. Keep it from touching anything. And the second I find those, if I can't find them in the next few minutes, I'm just going to say fudge it and go order another set. I think they're I'll put a link to the ones you'll need. I'll do that in this video. So look in the description for the link to this map and for the link to the O2 bungs. I want to say they're M8 or M10 by 1 1/4, something like that. But I'll get the right link to Amazon. They're cheap. So anyway, we'll talk to you soon. Hope you enjoyed the video and hope you install another, enjoy another installation of Dave's Garage. What's up, honkies? Guess what? I found them like a boss. I shut down the video a second ago and I walked in the house and I'm like, you know what? I feel like I saw them on the coffee table in this sort of thing where you throw your keys or odds and ends and stuff. I'm like, I seem to remember maybe I threw them there. And guess what? I did. This is the brand. You can get them off of Amazon. I'll put a link. They're M12, not M8 or 810. They're M12 by 1.25. O2 sensor bungs. As soon as my bike cools off, I will be installing those. I'm not going to bother making a video. I'm pretty sure if you're doing this kind of stuff, you can figure out how to unscrew something and screw the new one in. But they go thar, right thar. It's very easy. All right, now we're actually done with the video. Later.